Recorded, and let's get started now. So first of all, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are dialing in from. Happy to welcome you to this specific web MuleSoft meetup, which is more industry related. We have started these kind of meetups since last October and performed few of those like Black Friday, HLS, and this is the next one on the telco industry. Just few organization topics. So my name is Amir Khan. I'm the one of the organizers next to Andreas, Mihail, and Gregory. Unfortunately, my colleagues are currently on projects, so they cannot participate today. Anyway, I will be hosting this session together with Verena, and we will go through the topics for the telco industry we have prepared. Just few things to keep in mind. This is a use case specific webinar, so it's not the technical webinar where we are going to build automation flows. We are going to work with DataWeave or really build the content. We have prepared the content, we will present it to you, and it's more like providing you ideas, especially in this topic, automation, which is very new still for MuleSoft. And we are really looking for use cases to build and prepare and present it to you in these kind of formats. In order for you to get enabled on MuleSoft, you will find the content on training.mulesoft.com. We have there a couple of self-paced courses available. Dev tutorials is also there, developer.mulesoft.com. You will find also a couple of tutorials there. Additional help can be provided through the help side of MuleSoft or Stack Overflow, especially for DataWeave. You will find many content on the Stack Overflow page as well. Or lately, Ask OpenAI Chat GPT can also answer a few questions. Also, a new courses has been released, instructor-led courses on the training portal on the training.mulesoft.com. You will see there is a new course for Salesforce Hyper Automation with MuleSoft, which takes around about 5 days. It's a level 1 course, so you have to go through these 5 days in order to be ready and understand the whole concept around the MuleSoft automation portfolio, which includes here in this course also the Salesforce flow part, where you design workflows and orchestrate them together. So this is quite interesting. And then you have the option and possibility to get certified on the hyper automation topic as a specialist, where you have to go through a 2 hours exam, similar to the certified developer, platform architect, or integration architect. So you can try it out if you want it. Guidelines for today, please put your questions in the chat. We will try to answer them. Otherwise, we will follow up on these questions. Remaining question, as I mentioned, will be answered or asked at the end of the session. If you have time, we will complete them. Otherwise, we will follow up. Recording will be shared on the MuleSoft Meetups page for Zurich and on the API Force YouTube channel. And as I mentioned, this kind of meetup format is more industry specific, where we are going to present to you use cases we have seen on customer side, on customer real case scenarios. And this is the third meetup for this telecommunication industry. If you would like to see additional use cases you have in mind or you have in your organization, please feel free to get in touch with us, describe the use case, and we will try our best to prepare a specific presentation on those use cases. And with that, I would like to hand over to Verena. Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking the time. We know it's quite busy these days. So thanks for joining this meetup and sharing your experience with us.
Thank you very much, Amir, and welcome to everyone. It's a pleasure to have you today. As I mentioned, my name is Verena. I'm an account executive for MuleSoft here at Salesforce. I'm mainly covering enterprise businesses in the areas of retail, travel, transportation, media, and as we're speaking of it today, the telecommunications sector. I'm based out of Zurich, and happily working together with Amir. As he mentioned, we are always happy for additional input, be it on additional use cases or other topics you're interested to hear on more. So the topic of today is automation, right? And I believe that everybody is very much aware of the relevance of automation. So we see it a lot in terms of scarce resources. We know this search for skilled employees. Organizations are struggling with limited budgets, with time. So in the very end, we can all drill this down to this: organizations need to be doing more with less, right? And I think automation, and I believe you all agree to this, is nothing entirely new. Most organizations are already working with automation, with RPA. However, what we often see is that often the investment that's been done is not fully realized in terms of that actually value that they should be bringing. So what we often see is either this customer journey is not working seamlessly, right? Like me as an end consumer, I do not want to follow up several times with a customer support of the company I brought a product from, right? Where's my case status? When can I get a resolution of my problem? I want to have very smooth customer experience. And the reason behind that often is that we lack this perfect connection between the data that organizations hold of the customers with the relevant applications. We also see that often such automations tend to break. That's actually just normal because, right, we are living in a very agile world. So input of data may change. Tools that have to be integrated here may change. So what this also comes down to often is that we see that we as humans then have to serve the automation in order to fix it, to bring it up again, right? But what we would like to achieve, and that's where MuleSoft Automation is actually for us coming in, is we would like automation to serve humans. And with that, we would like to start with introducing a range of different use cases. There are plenty of use cases, actually. And just to mention a few of them. So, for example, we have the topic of network management. So especially for telco providers, it's very important to being able to tackle capacity demand, right? To really leverage out their networks and use it as efficiently as possible. That's really based a lot on data, what kind of users are requiring that network and bringing on content at what times, and really to level that out. Then we also, if we're looking at the processing of invoices, how are these invoices put together, right? We, on the one hand side, we have a customer contract on a certain, let's say, mobile minutes to be used in a given month or data volumes, but then we also have the actual usage of the customer, and these need to be matched together, and sometimes that invoice, and then obviously that invoice is being released based on these factors, just to give an example. That also has to do, obviously, with customer onboarding. We'll be speaking on a customer onboarding use case later on, but that also has to do with a lot of different interactions that need to take place. If we then move on to external partners, I think that's an interesting part, because on the one hand side, you could see partners as the brick and mortar stores of telco companies selling their products and services there, but we could also extend this a little bit. An example I would like to bring in from the Swiss market is, for example, the retailer Migros. They are offering a mobile package called M-Budget Mobile, right? And what we have there underneath is actually Swisscom providing the services, right? The Swisscom, the telco provider in Switzerland. So it's actually the brand of the retailer Migros bringing across this package at a, let's say, a lower price, more affordable price potentially, but with that same service that Swisscom's providing. Here also, we have a lot of interactions that are taking place in terms of exchanging data and information. And then if we continue to sales activities, I think that is, rather straightforward, one might mean, but then obviously, how can you provide the best next action or next proposal offerings to your customers, to the existing ones. For example, if you have all these data on your customers available, then you could easily try and understand, okay, based on the, for example, a data usage in a given month, which may be higher than that actually contract that they're having, you could provide them with an offering for an upgrade. You could do cross-selling in terms of offering a broadband internet connection for their homes or TV, etc. pp. Right, but you can lay in as a foundation. You can always start it. What are they having today? What is their current usage, for example? And as we are speaking of data, then obviously you have all these different data available. You just need to bring them together. And here again, this is where automation could potentially bring all these data together in that, let's say, one view in a form of a dashboard or something. You could then also move it a step ahead and also apply predictive analytics to it, right? To also make more forecasting. And then, as unfortunately sometimes things may go a little bit wrong, it may come to refunds, right? And we often see that refunds initiating returns are handled in a rather manual way, at least where, for example, service agents needs to log in into different systems to actually initiate such a refund. Also here, super good use case where we could apply automation. And then first call resolution, I think that's a very important one for basically all customer-facing organizations, because you are having customers usually calling in based on an issue. And if you as an organization are able to address the issue and help the customer out as fast as possible in the most efficient way, then this is again a triggering customer experience, customer loyalty, right? Good. So for today, we mentioned we will bring you and show you two specific use cases. So what we'll be looking at as the first use case is, as I mentioned before, customer onboarding use case. We really want to look at how can we reduce manual tasks and make processes more efficient. And that second use case will then be the swivel chair scenario, where a service agent has a customer on the phone and really needs to look into different checklists and systems that actually will hopefully show where that issue is coming from. So let's stay tuned. And for our first, basically for both of the use cases, we'll be looking into our telco company that's called One Mobile. So One Mobile is very well established in the market, in the region they're operating in. They actually have had a few acquisitions over the past years, so a lot of different, than if we're looking on the IT side, for example, different systems coming in culture-wise, employee-wise, right? You have all these topics whenever you're thinking of mergers and acquisitions. One Mobile is working a lot with different partners together. Then obviously they have different operations support systems, what we call OSS, and the BSS, business support systems, that are building the base of, that's holding a lot of their information. If we then look at our sales representative, Henry, who is working for a partner of One Mobile, he is super enthusiastic over his role. He is very excited in bringing his customers the best, the most suitable solution at hand. And he is responsible whenever he is able to sell a new contract, operate a customer, then the actual contract is something that he'll be sending out to One Mobile, and he's usually doing that in an email. We also have prepared this typical contract as what it might look like. In reality, there may obviously be a few more information, but I think what we need to know here is that our customer Simona has signed a new contract holding a lot of information when it comes to CRM related information, but then also everything that has to do with a contract ID, name, nationality, even birthday. What you could also put also in there, often you'll be asked, what's your profession, or what company are you working in? So obviously, telco companies would like to get as many information as possible from the customers, and that's then what we see here. So that's the one part. And then the question is, how does that information flow then into the BSS legacy system of One Mobile? So we see this interface here, and where all the different information then from that contract, which is most probably coming in as a PDF, need to be plugged in. So what we're looking at now is the process on how we could be setting this up. So we see we have Henry, our sales representative here. He is happy to have closed a contract with one of his customers, and that signed contract is then sent in an email to the operations team of One Mobile. And then obviously here we see that IT operation or the operations team would need to get that contract and extract the data from the PDF and put this into the legacy BSS system. Obviously, that might need to be done manual oftentimes. So what's happening over time, there may be errors happening, typos or something that may only just appear in a later stage when that first invoice is coming out to the customer, for example, and then that would have yet another course of actions following up. But here, once all these data is entered and the activation of the mobile contract is actually done, then an email confirmation goes out to Henry and obviously also to the customer channels, maybe email, maybe a text message, which is obviously individual to our customer and the setting that's been chosen. But as you can see, then this process may take up to 5 days. To be honest, I've had something, I've been switching telco companies when I'm with a private mobile contract. It took even up to 7 or 8 days, right? And that is something I'm wondering, turning to Amir now, isn't there something that we could do about? Because I mean, it's a lot of time. Me as a customer entering a new contract, I would most likely want to use my new subscription instantly, right?
Yes, Verena, and thanks for explaining it in detail. So I think it's a very valid use case, and when you look in the operations team, especially in the telco orgs, they are anyway overloaded, and this is also one task which can help them to get more productive if they get it out of their backlog. So this is actually where we have started to do the automation for One Mobile, and the way for this first use case we have done is we have introduced just the RPA part. So whenever an email is received, the email will be not read through operations engineer who will then type in manually the data into the BSS system. It will be read by a bot, by a RPA bot. It will open the PDF document which has been signed by the customer and extract these information and put it in this legacy application, legacy business support system, and then activate the customer contract and subscription, and then the activation email will be sent out to the store, to the employer. I see there are a couple of errors, connection wrong, so this connection should be here. But basically, you get the picture how the automation has been orchestrated, and it's mainly driven through the RPA bot, which we are going to show you in a second. So, and now the newly automated process takes up to 5 minutes. We will see it in a demo. Most probably there it will be taking a bit longer because I will be talking to it, and I've put some breakpoints in the execution so we can see what is going on. So we will be looking at this process where we have used our RPA, MuleSoft RPA solution to completely automate the execution of the process on the operation side. So the very first step is about reading the email. So whenever an email enters a defined inbox, we can define filters and check what the content is about based on rules. And then we read this scanned document, extract the data out of it, and open this legacy application and write the CRM related data as well as subscription related data into the legacy application and close it again, and then we send a confirmation email. So that's the very first automated process we want to show you in a live demo. Just to get started, the next one will be a more interactive one. So Verena, can you confirm that you see still my screen?
Yes, I can still see it. Now I'm seeing the mobile contract.
Okay, so perfect. So this is my RPA instance, my RPA desktop, where we will see the automation ongoing. What we have here is the mobile contract, which Verena already presented. We have this couple of information here. It has been signed by the customer. So we can see it here is the signature. And what I have already prepared is I have already an email sent out with a new mobile account, new one mobile account attached with the PDF we just saw. And this is the process we have brought into the RPA builder. So in the design time, in the build time, we are going to see how it is interacting with the different components and extracting data from PDF and then writing it into this legacy application, which of course on our side, we have simulated it, the UI of the legacy application. But let's start with the very first point, which is reading the email. So once the email is read, you will see we will display just the whole document, what we read in a structured manner. So first of all, we get the name of the document. You can see it is the one we have downloaded now locally. And if I refresh here, you will see it is becoming red. And this is the contact or the context of the email or of the attachment, which is extracted here and shown in a message box. So let me close it and continue here. So the next step is to read each of these properties like name, address, and just here we are displaying just the email which we have read from this PDF document. And now it will open the legacy application, go into the customer module, and then type in this data step by step. It just needs some time here to perform these actions. So now it
Sorry,
should be.
Anya, just a question. So if you're saying you're, reading the data out of the PDF, can you be a bit more specific on how can we do that?
So there are a couple of features MuleSoft RPA is providing. First of all, you can, based how your document has been prepared, if it's a system generated PDF, like you can do it from Word or Google Docs, we can use a template called read PDF. If it's a scanned one, like in our case here, we can use AWS TextRect to extract OCR capabilities, using OCR capabilities, the data from the document, and then really put it into the application and use the interface to AWS TextRect. We are also providing our own OCR capabilities, but as I have here in my case an AWS account with TextRect, I went for the more intelligent OCR capability. And now you can see the process has been executed. We received a new account edit email. So the RPA bot has sent this email confirmation. And in the system itself, we can now also check that this account has been added. Let me just open again the customer module. And if we go to the last one, you can see here is the account information, which has been added here. And now we are going to use this account information to further proceed with the next use case. But does it answer your question, Verena?
Thank you, Anya. Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, just let me prepare for the next one. Open the flow already and also give a refresh here on the composer side. So now let's continue with our process. So now we have seen how RPA was capable of reading an email inbox, download the attachment, which was provided as a scanned document PDF, and it has then read out the data using AWS TextRect OCR and brought it into a key value chain and then inserted it into the legacy application to activate the one mobile subscription for Simona's Docker. And actually, this was already 1 year ago, right, Verena?
Absolutely correct. Sorry, I'm just seeing in the chat that participant mentioned that I'm still seeing the customer onboarding and communication slide. Is that still the case? Maybe you can type to the chat, Marnik. So you
Which one
don't.
do you see,
So
Verena?
yeah, I see the use case to swivel chair scenario.
Okay, so maybe someone else can confirm what they see if we are maybe frozen for the attendees. If this is the case, I have to reshare again.
Yeah. Okay. Erhan. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So apparently everybody else is seeing the current slide. So
Okay,
then I suggest we continue. Yeah.
yes.
Good. Great.
All right, so over to you for the second use case. It's
Yes.
also a word, I had to learn. It's swivel chair, right?
The
Swivel
swivel
chair.
chair scenario,
A swivel chair.
exactly.
Okay.
Well done, Mamia.
Okay.
Good. Right, that's our second use case we'll be covering today. Again, we'll be meeting our customer Simona. She has been, as we've just seen, she's been entering a contract with One Mobile, and she's been super happy with that offering, with the service provided. No issues about that. Plus, she's super happy because she is starting a new job. And that new job actually contains that she's working mainly from home. And she realized that in order to do her job properly, she has to get a faster internet connection, right? More broadband here. So what she's doing is she's extending or upgrading her contract. That's obviously something that's easily doable because One Mobile, they are aware of their current contract, and they can then see what would best suit Simona based on the package she's had before. Now she can simply be upgraded. Everything's fine for a couple of days until that one morning she's sitting there ready to get to work, realizing that her internet is not working anymore. So internet is down for some reason. And then we have, as another persona, we have Chris. He's our very motivated customer service agent at One Mobile Service Center. He, well, as you can see, he's very passionate about customer service, about what he's doing. He really wants to provide the best in class service and fast resolutions to his customers. So everything that a customer is having issues with is coming to his attention, be that any certain specific requests, claims that may then also lead to refunds, etc. That's all what he's been working with on a daily basis. If we are taking a closer look on how such a routine may be looking like, we do have a customer Simona calling service customer support of One Mobile, and Chris then takes that call. So what happens first of all is a short authentication by Simona, by her customer data, contract ID, etc. And then the issue is being presented to Chris. So what Chris does based on this, he's opening up a case, he's working with Service Cloud, and then he has all these different checklists available and systems where he can check on what could be a potential reason behind the issue that Simona is experiencing. So he's going through a checklist. He's asking her, well, did you check whether the router has been plugged in properly? Did you check whether there is a green light coming from the router? Did you restart your computer? Sometimes the issue may be lying there. And lastly, sorry to ask, but are you sure you paid your invoices, just to ensure that her contract hasn't been deactivated or something like that? But after clarifying that all these items are all fine and not presenting an issue or that would connect with the internet being down, Chris is opening up a ticket in Jira. So again, this Jira ticket then goes to One Mobile operations team, and that team will then look at the ticket. And obviously, we have a range of different activities starting from there. So first of all, obviously looking into the legacy BSS and checking whether there are any certain things that might have been wrong in terms of the setup of the contract, right? We've seen the BSS view before. if that is all fine, then he's also going further to check the legacy OSS system. There may be interruptions in the region that Simona is living in that might be able to explain this outage, but that's not the case here. He is also looking at sending a signal to Simona's router. And finally, he's figuring out that most probably the firmware of the router is outdated, and that this should actually be, a new release should be sent out to the router. So that is something with which operations can actually fix the Jira ticket. Once that's done, a firmware update has been sent to the router and is done. Notification goes out to Chris, but then also obviously to Simona, everything's done. Chris can close the ticket, close the case in Service Cloud. But what we see is this may take up to 2 days, right? That actually means that Simona sits there without internet connection, not able to work from home. So the issue presented here is actually, I mean, we all have been working more or increasingly from home in the past years, and maybe continue doing that over the past month. So that's really an interruption in everyday work. And question again, Amir, it must be a solution to this topic, right? Something that we potentially can address again with our solution.
Yes, of course, Verena. So we have seen in the first use case already that operations team has been now freed up with some resources because of the customer onboarding, which is now completely done by the RPA bot. Also here, especially because Salesforce is now involved, we can even further improve this process and add kind of an intelligence to support the service agent here, and really free up the resources on the operations side. So what we have done is we have improved and completely automated this process. There are a couple of things we have to consider now. So first of all, in the automation area, the operations team has completely disappeared, which they are happy to do so because this is like a task they don't enjoy next to the day-to-day work. So now the automation is doing it, and the automation is in a close interaction with the service agent. So it's not like a completely automated process, which we have seen just in the first use case. Here, whenever a new case is opened and Chris cannot provide the solution by performing the checklist scenarios and so on, then he can directly from Salesforce Service Cloud trigger few checks, like if the contract is active and if the version is the right one of the router, the firmware is the right one, and additional checks like Verena was mentioning about bad weather conditions or unavailability of different services. So all these kind of checks can be performed, and then maybe this would already provide a solution because maybe she was deactivated, she didn't pay the bill, or because of the subscription upgrade something went wrong and the contract got or subscription got deactivated. So this will be set to activation again. If this is not the case, we have defined here a dedicated scenario where once we receive what is the current version of the router of Simona, um, Salesforce Service Cloud Einstein functionality will realize it, and it will come up with a recommendation called next best action in Salesforce Service Cloud to upgrade the firmware on the router and push it directly from the Salesforce Service Cloud application to the legacy backend system, which will then in the OSS system, we have two modules here, and opening the router app, identifying the customer, and then really pushing the latest version of the firmware to the router, and then resolve the case and notify the customer. And once the customer is notified, and she can then do her checks and notify back the service agent team. So then Chris is able to close the case. Yeah. And this is what we have defined. And now the whole process itself can take up to 5 to 10 minutes, and we will see it in action. It's not like a completely automated scenario. It's really where we help the service agent, in our case it's Chris, to be more productive, to be more efficient without opening a Jira ticket, which has also been completely replaced here. Jira has been used only because the operation team was involved in this use case. So as the operation team has been freed up, we don't need, for this specific use case, we don't need Jira. If Jira would be required and is a must use, you can still integrate it with using MuleSoft Composer, what we have used here to orchestrate the whole interaction between the service agent and the automation part to improve this scenario. So also, as I was talking already, this is not like a fully automated scenario. We have two parts. Also in this use case, the very first part is really checking the activation, checking the firmware and setting then, if it's not already activated, the subscription and make it active. In the first scenario where Chris can directly trigger these backend checks and actions from Salesforce Service Cloud. And if it does not provide the solution, we have this dedicated scenario where Einstein recommends to push the latest version to the router because Simona is having an outdated version. So this is the second part, and we have created for each of these parts two composer flows, which we will see in a second. So now we will be interacting with two modules, two UIs. One is the BSS legacy application where we have already entered the customer data. You can see here is the activation state, and as well as yeah, the subscription which is valid. But this is important. Maybe this is not set to true. Then we can activate it. The bot can activate it. Or also what we also can check is using the customer ID, what router they have and what is the version of the software deployed on the router, and if updates are available. So this routing application gets for different kind of devices updates which can be deployed directly from here using the push update button. This is also something what in our case the RPA bot will be doing. So we will be interacting with these two UIs directly from Salesforce Service Cloud. So now let's go into this demo of the call from Simona. So let me open my Salesforce Service Cloud, and of course Composer need to be opened as well. So you can see already I have here two different composer flow. One is for getting the software version and the other one is for putting the software version or pushing the software version directly from Salesforce Service Cloud. And we will be activating those when we need it. I have not deployed it into my demo environment. I selectively activate when I deliver a demo. So this is basically Salesforce Service Cloud. And now I get a call from Simona and I ask her, hi Simona, how can I help you? Here's Chris. So now Simona is describing her issue to me. She has upgraded now the subscription and she does not has internet access. So I will ask her, okay, so let me open a new case, Simona, so we can really track it, what's wrong. For me, it is a technical issue, of course. I will select a technical issue here. So now I will describe here what is actually the issue. So let's say Simona Stocker, we have here internet not working. And in the description, I can just write after upgrading or upgrading the contract, it is not working. Simona, can I ask you about your customer ID? So I have it here. So she will say exactly this is the customer ID. I can write it down here. And then I can select here also the status is new, which is fine. Simona is I found her in my account name or in my contact names, and now I have a checklist. So Simona, can you confirm that your router is connected with the right connections and cables are there as well connected, so she can do the confirmation. And these are the checks which we had on the slide, the checklist, and we have just a simple one here so you can extend it further. So now Chris, I can ask you, have you restarted the router? So she would say yes, we have restarted it a couple of times, and green lights are on the router, which is actually correct. Because you were using the old subscription in your computer, have you restarted also your PC after the upgrade and the new subscription? So she said, no, let me restart. So she restarts it and again test it. It's still not working. So I say, okay, so then let me really work on this service case or on this case. So I create here this case. And now what I can do is, you can see, first of all, here we have the next best action. Currently, Einstein says there is nothing I can help you with, but you can still perform a few checks. So I can check the software version on her router. So I will ask her, Simona, let me quickly check the software version on your router. And before I do it, I need to activate the first flow in Composer, which is a get software version. So I just put it here on test. And what is happening here basically is it will look for a specific record, which is, of course, in this state, retrieving info. And based on this, we will get the case information, all the fields. We will pass it to a RPA bot, which will then go into these two different application, OSS and BSS, and check the router software version as well as the activation status, then come back and fill in the data directly in Salesforce. And for our convenience, we have also dropped a Slack message, which we will be monitoring here. So the flow has been started. So let me just now say, Simona, please keep your cables connected and don't touch the browser, don't touch the router. I will just do a check on your software version and see if your subscription is active. So Simona, can you confirm that you see if few lights are blinking on your device, on your router device? Yes, she confirms it. So there are lights. So we are fetching information from this router device. And now what is going on in the background? So now Chris can continue his conversation with Simona and explain what will be going on. But technically, what is happening in background is Salesforce Service Cloud has, of course, updated here the status for retrieving info from in progress. It has switched to retrieving info. Um, and the composer flow is now watching. Yeah? It is listening for the trigger to happen. And what is the trigger? The trigger is the update on the case, which through the retrieving info status change has been already set. So once it noticed there was this change, it will start processing the flow, and the flow will then first of all get the information from the case, the customer related information, pass it to the RPA bot. And now this RPA bot is going to run in a secured environment. Yeah? So in the first scenario we have seen, we have executed it because it was just the RPA process. But this one is running in a dedicated Windows machine, either on my environment on-premise, or you can have a private cloud instance as well. And it is opening these two application, BSS and OSS, and getting the data out and then fetching the data back into Salesforce Service Cloud. And we can see it actually now. So if I refresh the case, first of all, let's refresh here. So we can see here, current router version is 2.0 for this customer ID, retrieving info to in progress. So this should be changing as well the moment I refresh the page. And we should have here these two information about contract is active and version is like this. In progress is done. So I can see, Simona, I see your subscription is actually active, but what I also see, and here the system is suggesting to upgrade your router version because you have an older router firmware version, which is 2.0. So the system is suggesting to me to upgrade your version to 3.0, which is the latest one. And most probably we will fix the issue because for the faster internet speed, we have also improved the firmware. You are currently outdated on your router. So let me push this to your system and update your router version so we can see if it is helping here. So now technically, again, I would go into the second workflow. This normally, both workflow will be deployed and activated. But as part of my demo, I'm really doing it on push. So it's a test now for the second one. Again, here is the same scenario. It will wait for a specific status from Salesforce Service Cloud, which is processing, trigger the RPA bot, and the RPA bot will then do the updates in Salesforce and drop a Slack message. For the first one, we saw already the Slack message is dropped here, as well as the comment in the Salesforce Service Cloud environment. We saw it here. And now, Simona, please keep the cables connected. I will try to push the firmware update directly from here. So I accept the suggestion from Einstein, and here it is just telling me as a service agent, this action cannot be reverted. If you push it now, it will update the change on the consumer device. So I say, yes, okay, this is fine for me. We want to fix the issue on Simona's side. So Simona, can you see something happening on your machine again? On your routing device, lights are blinking again. Yes, that's what we are doing now. So we are upgrading your instance, your firmware of the router, and bringing it to the latest version, because we believe this is the issue which will then be solved, and you will have the high speed subscription active soon, the moment the firmware is updated. So now technically, again, you can see Einstein recommendation is gone. The service cloud case is on processing. And again, Composer is listening. It is listening for the case to be updated and just get those cases out. We have a simple filter here. You can define a complex filter if you want. Get the case information and filter it, and just process these cases which are really requiring the update on the firmware. So now the RPA bot is triggered again in a secured environment, and then executing the information and updates on this OSS system to push the latest firmware to the routing device of Simona. And once this is completed, it will update the fields in Salesforce as well as drop a Slack message. So we can see here the Slack message just came in, successfully executed the software version upgrade for the customer ID. And also I see it here in the feed. It has commented the same thing what was in Slack. And if I update here, the version should be updated as well. So now, Simona, we have updated. Most probably the lights have stopped blinking. You see just the green light. Yeah, that's true. So now you can test it out. I will put this case currently on hold for now, and you can feed back to us the moment you have solved. You see that there was this improvement and you have internet again. You can already log into the internet, but I will keep it open for the next couple of hours. And if we don't hear back from you today, we will close the case automatically. If there's something, please feel free to come back to us, and we will further proceed on this case. But most probably you have internet already, and you can check and test it out and notify us via SMS or email. So thank you. And if there's anything, let us know. So now Chris has solved the issue with Simona. Simona has internet, so quick feedback, but he will leave the case on hold for now. So customer will be testing it out, and if they don't reply, or she doesn't reply today, the case will be closed. So now you may be asking, okay, what happened on this two interaction where first of all the check software version button was pressed, and I will show you what happened. This was the very first flow. So after we got this information and filtered out, okay, Salesforce is requesting the software update, this RPA bot has been executed, and I have it here already loaded. So that this RPA bot has again 4 steps. First of all, it will go into this CRM application, start the CRM application, get the activation code, and if it's not correct activated, it will set it, get the router version, the firmware, and close everything. So we have fully parameterized it here. You see here default values, but this is, we are fetching the software information as well as the activation state using the customer ID. And if this is correct, then it will return these information for us. And I will just trigger here the execution button. So this bot will be now executed here locally on this machine. And it will be in real time, it is triggered through the composer part, and doing actually this, going into the customer data and seeing, okay, the subscription activation state is activated, which is fine. So this was okay. And from here, it will go into the router and check for this specific customer using the customer ID. What is the software version, which is 2.0? We can see there was an update available. Last updated was last year. So you can say, okay, this is fine. And then these information were feedback to Salesforce Service Cloud, which actually landed then here. Activation status was checked, as well as the 2.0 version was entered. And then Einstein recommendation has realized it. We have defined these kind of logic intelligence in the Salesforce flow, which then together with the data which was prepared by the RPA bot, fed back by Composer, um, got analyzed and recommended that the version of the router is outdated. So we are suggesting to upgrade it. We accepted the suggestion and proceeded. And then the second flow was activated, which was this one. Again, very similar, but with the change that here another bot automation is running, which is pushing the router software version to the latest version on the customer device. And this is managed again in a different bot. Let me open this one. So this has been executed successfully. Let's go to the other one, which is the pushing routing version. And this one contains now less steps, of course. It has only 3 steps, where we are starting the CRM, closing it, and in the middle you have the push latest software version. Using the customer ID, we are able to identify what is the device and then push it, um, enter just the latest version there. Let me see, did I click now? Yes, I clicked. It's not happening anything. I hope it's not the demo devil, which sometimes is in my demos. Let me just push again. So now, okay. So now it will start the CRM application and go into the routing module. And then it will go a bit faster. You will see it will update the software version to 3.0 and also the date when it's deployed. And this OSS application will then coordinate, plan, and deploy the software router update directly on the customer device. And this has been executed. And with that, we have also automated the second scenario with the swivel chair use case, where customer service initially was opening a ticket in Jira, so the operation team can take it and really do these actions which we have seen in an automated manner, and then fix the issue. In our case now, with the automated scenario, the operation team has been completely freed up with time and resources. So the automation has taken this interaction with the service agent in Salesforce Service Cloud in combination with Einstein recommendation to really fulfill this use case from the automation point of view and improve the productivity and efficiency of the Service Cloud agent or Salesforce Service Cloud agent. Verena, anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Amir. And I just want to point out again what the benefit or the outcome of this is when we're really removing this complexity, right? I think on the one hand side, we obviously have the service agent, right? If we're thinking of empowering employees, but also when it comes to keeping employees, making their work much more meaningful, because I think the satisfaction level of Chris in our example here of being able to help Simona in a much faster way, delivering a very concrete course of action is super valuable for employees, right? I think that's something very important to be considered by organizations, by a telco company. And then on the other side, of course, thinking from the customer side, the experience of getting this instant help. There may be cases that may not be able to be solved right there, but then I think you can drill this down very clearly, and I think most of the issues are potentially can be solved right at the spot. So there's this constant communication with the customer going on, checking is internet now working. So there really is that instant resolution. I think as I spoke of this customer journey, this very seamless interaction here with the customer. I think that's really serving this purpose here.
Thanks a lot, Verena, for giving a more context on the use case and benefits. So now, how this was achieved. First of all, it was achieved with MuleSoft Automation, which is a set of a offering from MuleSoft, providing different capabilities. And we have seen two very powerful capabilities of MuleSoft Automation, which already started with the first use case with RPA automation, UI-driven automation, where legacy applications which are not providing any kind of interfaces can be automated using a bot in the same manner like a human would do. And additional capabilities were added where we read the document and processed it into this legacy application by reading the email and then provided the email back. And the second scenario, we added also the orchestration layer together, which is connected to Salesforce Service Cloud with MuleSoft Composer to enhance and improve this customer 360 process and experience, and enable closer collaboration between the customer service agent and the operational task through automation, of course, and make it easy. Just do more with less. What Verena mentioned in the beginning, we want organization to not serve the automation. Automation should be always serving humans, not the other way around. If this is the case, then your automation journey has already failed. And that's what we also see, that many organizations struggle to scale RPA based automation because it is only RPA driven. And with this MuleSoft offering, we are providing a more extensive set of capabilities you can use to make it more efficient in automation and really pinpoint the use case what you want to do. We have seen the MuleSoft RPA part together with Composer, where RPA was used actually in one of these Composer flow, but there's more to it. So these were just two capabilities, and Composer has a limited set of connectors, of course, to connect to all these modern business applications, and RPA can automate basically any UI, but we suggest to do more like unstructured data automation with RPA, or legacy applications which are not providing any kind of interfaces. And the third part of the MuleSoft automation suite is a limited set of anypoint capabilities, which are then bringing in a huge set of connectors which you can reuse to connect to databases, FTP clients, MongoDB, or cloud application, as well as on-prem. So this can really help you to become more efficient in hyper automation and drive a successful automation journey by adding these system integration capabilities into your automation portfolio. And with that, you can use MuleSoft Automation basically for both scenarios. If you want to go standalone RPA, like we have seen with the very first use case, you can drive a RPA-driven automation and schedule it. Every hour inbox is going to be checked, and if there are emails which are matching to a filter, you can further process the data and documents which are provided as attachment. But we find it more appealing and efficient for customers if you go to an API first automation approach, because UIs tend to change. We are living in an agile DevOps environment where changes are on the daily menu. So especially on a UI side. So when you drive automation, you can do it headless because APIs are there. APIs do not change that frequently like UI does, and also APIs are super fast in design, super fast in execution. If a UI process runs, it can take like 5 minutes. The same process, most probably in a headless automation using API first, would be 30 times faster, maybe 5 seconds or 10 seconds. This would be already completed. So there are huge benefits, but still RPA is there. It has its value, and we define it based on dedicated use cases where the legacy part is involved, application without interfaces or unstructured data. Then you can combine both scenarios and really get the maximum out for your automation journey. And with that, we come to the closing part, right, Verena?
Exactly. You're pretty much on point here. Thank you, Amir.
So we have upcoming events, and Verena is going to
Yes.
present.
Thank you, Amir. So first of all, we have our Trailblazer DX coming up. That's a Salesforce Developer Conference. It's coming up in mainly in San Francisco, but it's also has a lot of online offerings. So if you're interested, please check out the different sessions. Obviously, automation is also across Salesforce a super important and relevant topic. So you'll definitely see content around this topic. We also have local events, right? If you're looking on the Zurich side of things, for everybody that's kind of close to it, please feel free to register. We're happy to welcome you. We have, again, an agenda packed with content on, first of all, obviously, customer presentations. I think that's most often, or most of the time, the most interesting part. We have also a session on automation, some product updates, and most importantly, in the very end, the opportunity to exchange with your peers, with other customer prospects, and with us, of course, that in form of an on-site event. We do have a few other meetups and events coming up. We just don't have the right date and time set yet. What I suggest, either since you're registered for these kind of events anyways, you'll get a heads up, but then also if you connect with Amir or myself on LinkedIn, we will be communicating any upcoming events as well.
All right. Then any questions from the chat, Verena?
I don't see anything at the moment. No. It's just been some issues around the what people were able to see on screens, but I think after refreshing the browser, it hasn't then been working.
Awesome. Then really, thanks a lot, Verena. Thank you for preparing this awesome content. It was really, I learned a lot about the different use cases you presented, and also the way you did it. It was super easy to understand. Thank you for preparing all the content, and also, being part of this MuleSoft meetup. You agreed to continue the participation and contribution?
Yes, of course. Thanks
So
a lot for having me. I think it's a lot of fun to
it's being
really
recorded,
share
yeah,
this.
so you
Yeah,
can
I
see
know.
it.
I can't say anything else right now. No, it's
Okay.
been a pleasure. Thank you, Amir.
And thank you also to the attendees. Thanks for joining. Thanks for taking the time and your interest in MuleSoft. And with that, any last word, Verena?
Well, I'm happy to enter other meetups, and obviously I'm very happy to receive feedback from the audience in terms of also, what kind of use cases are they interested in seeing, just to broaden our view as well. That always is super helpful to get input here. Thank you very much.
That's an awesome topic. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you. I will stop recording now and we are done. Yep.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.